I'm at the Washington Soldiers Home Cemetery near Ording, Washington. It's pretty close to where I live. It's coming up on Veterans Day, and I wanted to do a little meditation on what war has cost us. I'm no fan of war. I think most wars could be prevented with a little bit of diplomacy and a little bit of humility. I think most wars are fought for very terrible reasons, and of course the cost of war is high. But I do honor those people who chose to serve, not just U.S. soldiers, but soldiers, men and women around the world, who gave the ultimate sacrifice, made the ultimate sacrifice to serve each other, to serve their countries, to serve us. So, while I hate war, I do honor the soldiers. I'm thinking of setting up right here on the side of this little road through the cemetery and painting this view. I think it's really interesting if I crop in on this sunlit tree with some of the headstones near and some curving away far, some in light and some in shadow. I'm going to just do a small painting. This cemetery is so interesting because it's on the side of a hill, and the grave sites follow the contours of the hill, and there's some beautiful scenery in the distance as well to pick up on. Beautiful trees in the cemetery. It's been here a long time. So lots of potential paintings. I'm a little conflicted on doing a painting that might be interpreted as glorifying war or military service. Yeah, I'm conflicted on it. You know, I love movies like Saving Private Ryan and other films that talk about sacrifice and service, but at the same time I hate war, so it's a difficult one for me. So take what you will out of this video and out of this painting session. I hope it's not offensive to anyone. I hope maybe it's meaningful to some. And just know that I'm right there with you if you're conflicted on your feelings about war and service. I think some wars are necessary, but very few. It's chilly out, especially in the shade, so I'm putting my hood up to stay warm. I've got a heavier coat in the truck. I always bring layers just in case there's wind or rain, if it gets cold or if it gets hot. I also have these nice thin gloves that I can wear under my nitrile gloves that I paint with. Since I'm painting in the shade, I'm trying out this little LED lamp. It's a clip-on lamp I got off Amazon. Works pretty well. I've used it indoors when I'm doing a demo or painting at a gallery where I need a little additional light. It plugs into my USB battery pack, Artist Turpentine. I'm going to start with a quick sketch with a small brush just to get the big shapes in. I'm working on a 9x12 birch panel here that I painted on once and I didn't like the painting, so I repainted it with underpainting white, which is just titanium white with some fast drying alkyd. and then I'll go into the turpentine wash. With the turpentine wash, I just want to capture the color harmony. I'm seeing a cerulean blue sky, so I'll wash in a light, very light layer of cerulean blue for the sky. The tombstones in the shade are kind of a cerulean blue with some oranges and browns, cool and warm grays. Then for the sloping lawn, I'll use cad yellow, and for the tree, burnt sienna. Keep it simple. Then I'll go back in and erase out the white of the tombstones. And just erase out the lightest lights, which are the tombstones. Alright, there's the turpentine wash-in. It is fun and helpful to paint on a used panel that you've painted over with oil paint. It creates a beautiful slick surface that you can really move the paint around on. Alright, put up the turpentine, put the lid on, got some liquid here and the Gamsol out. So now I'm going to mix up the colors that I'm seeing in the scene. Very high value cerulean blue for the sky, very high key, some warm hints, a little bit of burnt sienna, lots of titanium white down toward the horizon. The far background hill, I'm going to keep it very gray, and it's pretty warm because of all the fall colors. And there's a plain of pasture grass there that's pretty high key, coolish gray green. Then in front of that, I'm going to simplify that background row of trees, kind of bank of trees, into just some darker gray green value masses, except for the one tree that has some gorgeous fall color still. And then this tree itself, I have it on the 1/3 line over here. That's a grayed out burnt sienna. And then as the grass comes forward, it'll become a richer green. Cool and blue in the shade. In the deep shade where you can see some soil, it's a warm brownish gray. And then in the sun, close to me, the grass is a warm cad yellow green. The sun's gonna come and go because there's some big trees behind me, so I'm going from memory and going from the turpentine wash where I need to, so that I have some kind of sun and shadow pattern that I can refer to. Alright, I've mixed up some colors here. I've got some very high value, almost pure white sky, bluish, and cerulean blue with titanium white mainly, with a little bit of burnt sienna added as it gets closer to the horizon. Some very grayed out greens and browns, a little bit of lavender for that far background hill. This green has a little bit of cad yellow, but not much, just to hint at some orange tones I'm seeing on the hillside. One step closer in the landscape, I've got some greens for that row of trees. And then one more step closer, I've got some greens a reddish shadow color and a bluish shadow color and a green shadow color for the closest tree branches, and then some grass colors here, really rich as it comes closer. Now as it recedes into the distance, I'm just going to add some of these grayed out greens here to dull it and lighten it, to give that illusion of atmosphere, that illusion of distance. Then I've got some tombstone colors. I've got the warm yellowish white for the tombstone, the lightest highlights in the sun. I may dip into a little bit of straight white with yellow ochre to bring out some highlights if those aren't bright enough, and then some varying degrees blue, brown, yellow shadow tones on those headstones. And for that one fall colored tree, I'll just dip into my orange, slightly orange grass color. I'll start with that and dip into straight cad yellow or yellow lemon where I need to bump it up. But I don't want to get too bright even on that tree. As I'm painting the sky and down into the far background hills, I'm just using the same big brush. It's an evergreen from Rosemary. Nice synthetic, keeps its shape really well. It has enough spring and enough body to be able to draw pretty easily, but it's also soft enough that you don't pick up any of the underpainting. It goes down layer over layer pretty well. Very nice brush. Now as I move forward, I'm going to clean my brush a little bit and introduce some dark shadows over the top of those very high value background colors. Always carry paper towels and a rag. I find a nice cotton rag works well to clean the brush, so I don't have to go through a ton of paper towels, and I can use the rag over and over again. These trees, I'm trying to capture the character of the tree. I'm trying to capture a gesture for each tree, meaning what's the overriding shape? How can I capture the upward force, the outward force, the downward force of each tree with as few brush strokes as possible? So for these big conifers, they have a really straight, strong, single trunk, and then these drooping branches, long drooping branches that curl up at the very end. So I'm trying to keep that in mind as I paint that tree. And then for the more ball-like deciduous trees, they have multiple trunks, lots of branches, and their overall shape is kind of a round ball with some of the tree in shadows. You can see through the branches, some tree leaves, some branches in sun, some in shadow. So I'm just trying to capture that gesture with as few brush strokes as I can as I paint. Well, here's where it ended up. Boy, it got cold when the shade set in. It's chilly. But really beautiful, contemplative time spent here in this solemn place. I have a lot of respect for the people who are interred here. I hope they feel that. I hope that comes across in my painting. As always, thanks so much for joining me. And I'll see you in the next one.